Hello everyone and welcome to GTA Online Racing episode 29 and the discussion video for the I'm Not A Hipster update DLC cars. Now I'm not going to talk in this video about this change in the spoilers affecting traction. I'm pretty sure, we covered all of that in the last video, so if you want to watch that, if you haven't seen that already, go back and check the last episode in this series. And this is going to be discussing the new order and the new cars that we found in the I'm Not A Hipster update for the Fastest Cars update series. So if you haven't watched that, also go check the description. So yeah, there's been quite an interesting update, this one, I have to say. Just to let you know, this is the last bit of racing footage that I actually have left on my computer. So it's definitely been a while since I did these races, and it's been quite a while since I've actually raced myself as well. So I'm hoping to get back into that game for soon enough. But yeah, this is the last bit of footage that you're seeing in this video. So yeah, basically, we've had quite an interesting update. We've had 7 new cars. We've also had some cars that we previously had before, such as the Buffalo S, for example, Franklin's Buffalo, that now we can actually buy legitimately and store properly rather than having to do any unfair glitches or anything like that, which I never did in the first place. So it's been a really interesting update. Obviously the spoiler change is such a huge change as well, so that's made it an interesting update in itself. But yeah, there's been quite a few changes that are quite good in terms of you can swap around the cars in your garage a lot easier now as well. So a lot of interesting changes, I would say. And the cars that we've been given, although the majority of them weren't that quick, they are all very interesting, I would say. There's a lot of interesting modifications that go with them. For example, the Warrener has quite a few more modifications. The Panto is just totally ridiculous of a car. It's got such crazy things that you can put on it. And I think that's been more the focus of this update. It's been less about absolute raw speed, which we've had in the previous updates with, for example, the Zentorno, the Turismo, the Jester, the Massacro. They've all been revolved around supercars, sports cars, and those really the quickest cars in each class, if you like. And beyond that, this update's been more about sort of other classes, and that's refreshing to see, and I'm quite happy about that. I've always said that I would prefer to have some more cars in different classes, and even in the Q&A video I said I would want some more compacts, and we got 2 more of those. So we've pretty much increased the total amount of compacts that we have by 50%. So yeah, it's been a really interesting update, and although that some of the cars aren't necessarily going to be quick in their classes in terms of racing, they are quite interesting just in themselves, and people quite enjoy them anyway. So this is actually the last footage that I've got with the Entity, by the way. This is the last race that you'll see in an Entity, and it actually gave me my 400th win in terms of my win-loss record on the game, on Xbox side anyway. So yeah, that's an interesting little fact of information there. And yeah, let's start with the Dubster 6x6, because that's I would say that's probably the most interesting addition in terms of all of the cars that we've got. So the Dubster it's an amazing vehicle, really. The 6 wheels at the back really give it a lot of traction, especially off road and when you're climbing hills at speed. And it's really quick. For one of those big trucks like that, it's a really quick car. So I'm really glad that they've introduced that one. Obviously it's not going to do much in terms of racing, but in terms of just having some fun and getting 5 other people in, it's easily the best car for you to use. I would previously have used the Bison, but this is definitely the new better car to use for that. So that's that one done. The Hot Rod Blazer. Now the Hot Rod Blazer, something that I didn't mention in the previous video, was that the Hot Rod Blazer can be modified. So obviously, it's going to be quicker than the regular Blazer once you can, if you plan to modify it. But when it comes to off-road races, you can't look beyond the Sanchez for that, really. So and the Blazer kind of lost time when you went off-road with it anyway. So although it would be pretty decent, it's not going to be beating, nothing in the off-road class is going to be beating the Sanchez, unless they just remove the Sanchez from the off-road class and keep it to the motorbikes class. So yeah, those are the 2 sort of off-road versions that we've seen, and also the Buffalo S was the other car that we have sort of seen before but never officially been able to own, which is why I've never really tested it. And that was quite a surprise that it was so much quicker than the regular Buffalo. Obviously it's a Buffalo S, which means it's sport now, and Franklin's Buffalo is a really good car. I can definitely see, you know, with the spoiler changes and stuff like that, it's going to be close in terms of the fastest 4-door car in the game. Although I think the Sultan might possibly take that crown now. It's difficult to know. But it's a really quick car. It's obviously not going to do much in the sports class territory. But, you know, it's an interesting car as well. Lots of different modifications. And people were, you know, glitching and doing all sorts of stupid things to get it. You know, they might as well have put it in anyway. I think people tend to just buy a lot of cars because they seem rare. You know, a lot of people were deciding to sell their own Buffalo or get rid of it because now everybody could have it. You know, I just go for cars that I like, really. You know, I don't matter whether they're common or not. So yeah, what's next? The two sedans. The two sedans were pretty slow, but a lot of people seem to be liking the Warrener because it's kind of like an old Skyline. Obviously they both have some great modifications, and that's a general theme throughout all the cars in this update. So I can't, you know, it's supposedly a good drifting car as well. I can't really say that they're bad cars to include. Obviously they're not going to do much for racing, but yeah, interesting cars nevertheless. The Pigalle for the Sports Classics. Now that, you know, this wasn't too bad of a car, and even with the spoiler, it wasn't quite as quick as the Monroe. It was about on pace with the Monroe in terms of being fully upgraded. So it's not, you know, nothing's going to beat the Z-Type, but it's interesting to see a front-wheel drive car in a class other than the compacts. And I'll come on to the fact that in the compacts we've now got a rear-wheel drive car. You know, they've mixed it up a little bit in that way as well, which is refreshing to see, because even within classes you like to see a bit of variety. Completely messed up there, like. Anyway, yeah, you know, the Pigalle is an interesting one. It's kind of the first really powerful front-wheel drive car we've had, and that's quite noticeable in terms of the understeer that it gets. But if you can manage it, you know, it's not going to do too badly. But it's obviously not going to beat the Z-Type. So just to let you know about this race, this is I'm with a lot of crew members. They're all in Elegies. I'm in the I just chose the Banshee just for a random, just because I wanted to have a bit of a defensive drive and see how I could do. And I don't do too badly, to be honest, considering they're my crew members and they're all really good racers in themselves. So it's quite an interesting race, this one, and I'm sure you'll enjoy seeing me have to do a bit of a defensive drive. And I just did it just to mix it up a little bit, really. You know, you can't use the Elegy all the time. You got to have a bit of fun every now and again. So yeah, where we up to? I think we've just got the compacts to go. So the Panto is such a crazy car. With the change where spoilers can increase traction, if you actually put a roof rack on the Panto, it gives the same amount of effect in terms of traction as just any of the other spoilers. So it's pretty crazy that that's actually a feature now. But yeah, the Panto is just, it's tiny. It's so small, and it's reasonably quick as well in terms of straight line acceleration. So it's such a crazy car. It's a really fun one to include. I can understand why people buy it and just have a lot of fun with it. And I'm glad that Rockstar have taken this sort of done an update like this where they're introducing some fun cars as well, rather than just cars that are quick. So yeah, that's a little fun car. The Rhapsody is next, and as I said in the previous video, the Rhapsody is now the quickest compact car. Obviously not when it's stock, but when it's fully modded, it really is. And it's quite a nice car to use because it does have a good balance to it. It is rear wheel drive, so it's a rarity in the compacts class for being rear wheel drive, and it does have a nice balance to it, and it feels nice to drive. So yeah, the Rhapsody is an impressive car, I would say. I kind of wish the Blister would have a spoiler, because I quite like the Blister more so than the Rhapsody, I would say. But yeah, it's undeniable that it's quite quick when it's fully modded. So the only thing left now is the Blade to talk about, and the Blade really took me by surprise. When I first tried it out, I thought that the turning circle of it would kind of not allow it to get the lap time that it probably could have got. But it got incredible acceleration, and it really does handle well. It sticks well to the road, a lot more than its traction suggests. And you know, the fact that it has a spoiler as well helps. And it really is a really quick muscle car, and it's certainly the one that I prefer to use in terms of the balance that it has. And it's just, I think it's easily my favourite muscle car to drive. Now the one thing that I am unsure about is the Dominator, because the Dominator always had a lot of power and was quite tail happy. Now I haven't actually tested the Dominator yet with a spoiler on, although I can't see it beating the Blade still, because the Blade was a hell of a lot quicker when it was fully modded as well, and it was a hell of a lot quicker when it was stock compared to the Dominator. So I can't really see the Dominator overhauling the Blade, but I think it will be pretty close, and the Dominator might be a possible use in that class. Obviously the Ruiner gets the benefit of a spoiler, so that might be usable as well, but obviously the Gauntlet is the one that really loses out in the muscle cars class. It's pretty useless at this point. But yeah, the Dominator is one that I haven't really checked up on, and I think it might be close to the Blade. It's probably usable, certainly, but the Blade is certainly the one that I much prefer to drive, and I would say that it's probably my favorite car to come out of this update. Definitely, the 6x6 is probably the second to that, but yeah, the Blade is a really nice muscle car, and I really like that one. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys, on just a little discussion about the I'm Not A Hipster update. I normally put these out, straight after the I'm Not A Hipster, the DLC fastest cars videos, but obviously I wanted to get that spoiler video out as quickly as possible. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. Leave all your comments down below about what you think of the new cars. Which cars have you bought? Which cars are you planning to buy when you get the money? Let me know down below what your thoughts are about all of the cars, all of the new cars, and are you happy that we've had a bit of a difference in terms of, a bit of a more refreshing standpoint on introducing some cars that aren't necessarily super and sports cars? And what class would you like to see some cars from next? I think coupes would probably be the one for me, but they should have put the Alpha in there anyway. Anyway, I'm not going to harp on that too much. So thanks a lot for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. See you all next time.